Hi crafty friends, it's Jarle. Thank you for joining me today. In this video I will be sharing how I did some watercoloring on a few die cuts. So let's get started right away. I started with a piece of Bristol smooth cardstock cut to A2 size, so it's 4¼ by 5½ inches. And I will be doing some ink blending. I took out my Distress Oxides in the colors Skitch Flamingo, Seedless Preserves and Mermaid Lagoon. This is actually a color combination I haven't used before. For my ink blending, I started with the pink color, which was Skitch Flamingo, and I covered about 1/3 of the cards with the Skitch Flamingo, getting lots of the color down, and then I went in with Seedless Preserves. And I think after I finished with that color, about 2/3 of the card was filled with color. Now, to get a smooth transition, I went back to that first color, so that Skitch Flamingo, until that transition was much better. So I think the key here to get the smooth transition is to go back and forth between the different colors. And now I'm going in with the Mermaid Lagoon as the final color. So this is a very, very pretty blue color, one of my favorites actually. And now to get that smooth transition again, it's very important to go back to the previous color. So going back again to that Seedless Preserves, that purple color. And like I said, the key here to get a very smooth blend is to just go back and forth between the different colors. Actually, I also cleaned my mats between different colors a few times, just so I don't get any cross-contamination of my different colors. And I do have to mention that for this particular combination, it did take me a while to get a good gradient between the different colors. But just keep going over the different colors a few times, and it will all work out. I think I blended about 4 to 5 minutes on this card panel. To add some interest, I decided to splatter a little bit of Copic white ink. So I put some Copic white on a stamping block, I diluted it with some water and then splattered on the panel with a paint brush. But I wanted some shine as well, so for that I used my Perfect Pearls. So in my craft room I have a little water bottle with Perfect Pearls, and I splattered it on as well. And this gives a lovely pearlescent shine. And then I just put my panel aside to dry for now. Then I took out the Potted Pets die set from My Favorite Things. I've had this on my wish list for a pretty long time, and last month I finally decided to get it. Now I die cut the different pieces out of watercolor paper, and this was actually the Distress watercolor cardstock. I'm going to be doing some painting, and to make that process easier, I don't take the die cuts out of the cardstock, and I just leave them in their place, and I put some purple tape on the back so that they don't move around when I'm doing my painting. I used my trusted Gansai Tambi paints for the watercoloring, and I started by putting a drop of water in each pan just to get that color flowing. For the greenery I used forest green, and for the little flowers, there are just about 3 I think, I used cadmium yellow for the flower centers and the rose madder for the flowers itself. But this is just actually the first layer I'm putting down, so not very concerned about it, just some very loose watercoloring. for every little die cut piece. For that second layer on the greenery, so on those leaves, I used the turquoise green deep color, or the turquoise green deep paint. And I don't put that second layer all over the whole die cut, I just put it here and there, you know, just to get a little bit of color variation. And then for those flowers, I decided to add in some purple. So I think I used the paints Imperial Violets from that same Kansai Tambi set. And I decided for the purple so it matches a little bit with the ink blended background, because I used that lovely purple shade there, the Seedless Preserves. So over to the painting of the cat. Now, I didn't have a color in my Kansai Tambi set that I wanted to use for this, so I just went to my regular distress inks and I chose the color Hickory Smoke. I smushed this ink pad onto a white palette. You can see it there on the right side, but you can obviously also do this on a glass mat or on your craft mat, like a blending mat, etc. I did put a little bit of water on that ink, and then I went in with my paintbrush and started at the outside of that little cat's face. So you know, at those edges. And then to get that lighter color more in the middle of the cat's face, I just added more water, so the darkest of the color is on the edges and the diluted version of the color is more on the inside. And that's how you create kind of those shadows. So the more water, the lighter the color will be. But I did want a more loose kind of watercolor look for this card, so I really wasn't that precise with my watercoloring. I just went with it. And because I wanted everything to look kind of cohesive, I splattered those flowers and that greenery again with the Copic white paint. I did remove the cat though from that cardstock because I didn't want splatters there, so just these flowers and the leaves. And then I still had to assemble that cute little cat, which was very, very easy to do, because that die cut has embossed marks where every little die cut piece had to go. So the nose and the eyes and those little lines on the forehead. It's very, very easy to assemble, and I just did this with liquid glue. I'm sorry. Just so I had some wiggle room. Then for the blushy cheeks, I used Ballet Slippers cardstock from Lawn Fawn, but I did add some detail with two Copic markers. So I used R22 and R30. Those are my two markers I always use for blushy cheeks. And then I can assemble everything. So I put those little leaves in the little pots, and then I also put down the flowers on those leaves. And I really think those pink little flowers really finish it off. Then I die cut the largest of the scalloped frames from Lawn Fawn out of white cardstock. And then with some liquid glue I adhered it onto my ink blended panel. I just think that this frame really, frames this card. It really gives it a more finished look. And then I also die cut the giant XOXO, also from Lawn Fawn, out of white cardstock and out of black licorice cardstock. And then I adhered these two together, again with liquid glue, also a little bit at an offset to create kind of a shadow. So now it's time to put everything on the card. So I started with the main watercolored die cuts, so that little flower pot, and I put foam squares all around. I put the XOXO there just for placement at this point, so I could decide where exactly I wanted that cute little cat. And then I adhered the XOXO as well. I put foam squares on the back there too. I did have to cut them in half with some scissors so they wouldn't be visible on the cards. That was a little bit of a dainty work, but I find that dimension just, it gives that little extra something to the cards. I really, really love dimension, but you probably already know that. And then I did add a little extra sentiment on there as well. This is from All the Speech Bubble stamp set, and it says Sending Smiles. I stamped it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I die cut it with the coordinating dies. I put a foam square on the back and adhered it onto my card panel. Then I prepped my card base. I folded it at 4 1/4 just to create a side folding card. And then all that was left to do was to put down my card panel with dry adhesive. And I always use Gina K tape runner for this. And this finishes off my card for today. I really, really love how it turned out. I really love the look of these watercolored die cuts. It's just a little something different than ink blending everything. Thank you again for being here, and I will be back soon with another card project. Bye!